Hey guys, Patrice is here again. Still remember me, right? Well, I hope so. I'm back today with another Apex Legends video. I haven't made any Apex vid for at least a year now, so this is pretty tough for me to get it right again after such a long absence. But I did my best to get back into first-person shooter games and working on my aim, so don't hate too much on my potato aim in this video since I haven't been playing any FPS games for quite a while. Today I'm going to show you some tips and tricks with the new Apex Legend called Horizon. Since I didn't upload for a while, YouTube algorithm probably hates me right now, so please drop a like on this video if you can. Also, don't forget to check the description for timestamps to miss out any stuff you don't really care about. Passive, Spacewalk. On its own the ability isn't that much, but every now and then another soft landing is pretty decent and feels good for not losing momentum. Just like in season 1, if you remember, you could have meleeed to deny the fall animation. This passive actually helps out a lot with her core ability, so I'm going to cover more on this later. But for now, most important to know is that you don't lose any momentum from falling, and your strafing in air and control in the air is a little faster than it is on any other legend. It's good to keep this passive in mind when you want to assist your teammate in the middle of a fight with your tactical ability, since it might actually make them an easier target since they don't have that speed boost that you get when you are in the air. Now let's move to the core ability, Gravity Lift. Reverse the flow of gravity, lifting players upwards and boosting them outwards when they exit the flow. Now this is a pretty much best ability in the entire game as of now. The cooldown is non-existent, 15 seconds to be exact. The timer starts going only after it activates completely, yet the flow lasts around 10 seconds, which makes the cooldown only around like 5 seconds at best when the flow completely stops, and around 3 or 4 seconds counting from when you actually touch the ground, which means you could be up in the air every 3 or 4 seconds ish. So you basically get a better Pathfinder ult and Octane's ult together in a futuristic skin every 4 seconds. This is even more true when you realize the height of this ability. It goes really far, and at the end when you exit the flow it will also boost you even further up and towards your direction, which makes it an amazing ability to rotate and reposition your entire squad. Who even uses Pathfinder at this point? Now before people get used to Horizon, you can abuse her ability mid-fight and fly around. For some reason people are not expecting you to stay on top of your own flow, they expect you to redirect yourself instantly, so you have a second or two to aim and shoot on them whilst they're just looking around for you. I would say avoid staying on top of this ability if you are in a very open area, since it does make you an easy kill for a third party. They can just snipe you. But keeping this in mind, abuse this as much as you can. Never stop for your opponent to get in control. If you be flying around every entire time, you can survive pretty stupid fights where you should have been dead long ago. You can use Gravity Lift for flanking with your entire squad or on your own whilst they keeping them busy. Done this quite few times playing her, especially on this new map where half of the fights happens below the ground level, well, or all of them really if you count that the city is in the air. But in general, it's pretty convenient to throw your Q and fly all the way to the other side of the location you are and shoot up the enemy squad from behind. You can also use it in the same way to escape and retreat. Enemies actually might spend enough time searching for you and aiming for you. Half of the time I start charging a cell or a battery whilst I'm lifting up in the air, since shooting vertically is something most people are not used to in general. Most of the time this works out well for me and I don't get punished, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's only happening now when people are not used to Horizon yet. This ability is also great to assist your team. The range of the throw is decent enough to help your teammates that are either in trouble or need to reposition. You can throw it on them and they can get away with higher chance of success. Or you can even throw it on your fallen teammate so he can escape further away from the fight and hopefully not get thirsted. Sometimes when I see my teammate running straight towards the enemy, I will throw the ability under their feet just a little bit in front of them, so they get further and with a entrance, nice entrance with a flank. Whilst I myself might shoot from the front, so we'll just sandwich them both ways. There's been lots of times where one of my teammates or myself was stuck below and needed some assistance to get up. For example, if you're like Lifeline or Gibraltar, you have no escapes or way to lift yourself to the higher ground unless walking it or doing it casually. But if you have Horizon on your team with her ridiculous Q cooldown, you can ask her just generously drop it and lift your lazy ass. In general, Horizon can fit the slow squads perfectly because she can make them faster as a team. and boost everyone up to move around faster. So we covered a most basic usage of this ability, but how about using it as a trap or like an entrance block? For example, if you throw it between the door, people won't be able to enter or quit, and that's not it yet. Because he also cuts the vision since of the little smoke cloud that rises. And most importantly, the enemy won't be able to throw any grenades or traps in since everything will be lifted up in the air. Keep in mind, only Wattson fences won't be thrown up, but that's not really a problem because it's not instant and you should have enough time to destroy it anyway. Few times I had to use my ability as a passage block since it can block entrances completely no matter if there is a door or not. And since it lasts 10 seconds, that's enough for me to rest my teammate, get a battery, or even just loot and escape. This ability is by far better door holder than any Caustic or Wattson traps, since with those, most people are still able to come in, but not with Horizon. Well, I guess there is some exceptions. For example, Wraith under her Q can come in without any trouble, or Crypto can throw his drone also droning in without any trouble. Anything else gets completely blocked out, will it be either Loba's Q or even Horizon ult herself. Even Pathfinder grapple is useless against Horizon. So if you need to block off the enemy that is chasing you, or either to res or escape or loot or prevent them from looting, there isn't any better ability to do so than Gravity Lift. Now another supportive usage of this ability is to scout. For example, if you're resing your team with the banners, everyone around your radius will definitely want free kills. So usually going up your queue helps a little to look around and see if anyone is coming and where they are coming from. I pretty much do this all the time just to get information and scout, especially on this new map where there's just so many buildings and constructions areas where the only place you can even remotely get any information is from high above. Talking about new map, the new cars that have been added to the game can also be lifted in the air or sucked in by the Horizon abilities. This is pretty useful since you can escape easier on the car or get to the heights you wouldn't be able to usually get with the car. And then you can use your turbo to even fly for a bit. But I would recommend avoiding using the cars most of the time unless you have Gibraltar with his dome shield, since most of the time you will get wrecked. Oh yeah, and also funny enough, you can even drop your Q on the enemies. This pretty much is only used for the end game where there's like just that one guy left on the team that is hiding behind a little box or something to just get more rank points. You can just smoke him out for a quick kill. And last but not least, aka not last, the gravity lift works stronger from below than it is further on above. What I mean by this is that it will instantly throw you up in the air, but the higher you get, the slower it starts to move you higher until you stop. So technically the longer you are in the flow, the easier you become to hit. In the middle of a fight, I usually get in and get out as soon as possible, just to confuse the enemy and avoid being an easy target. After which I come back to the same flow and do it all over again, but to another direction. You don't want to stand on top of it if the entire enemy team is focused on you. Mostly staying on top is great if you like have a sniper rifle or something further range and you assisting your own team's fight. Coming back to the insane height of this ability, something I noticed is that you can actually get on top of the locations where you're not allowed to be. I'm talking about the locations where if you stand long enough and the timer goes out, you die. Well, with Horizon ridiculous height, you can just keep jumping down and queuing yourself back up on that location for further poke, snipe, etc. Oh yeah, and did I mention that you can avoid pretty much any ult in the entire game thanks to Horizon Q? Well, here you go, an ultimate counter to any legend. Alright, let's finish this off, otherwise I'll never stop talking about this ability and how crazy it is. Let's move on to the ultimate. Black Hole. It literally does what the name says, pulls people and some of the objects into it. And some of you might actually miss this, but it also deals damage. But as of now, even after playing quite a lot of games with her, I only done 1270 damage. Which also means that it never gets to that point, since the ult either gets destroyed or people leave the radius. One thing to mention off the bat, her ult is pretty easily destroyed. When people get used to her ultimate, it will be destroyed instantly on landing. But for now, let's still discuss the potential of it. Ultimate roughly takes 100 seconds to charge up without any equipment being used, which is slower than some ultimates but faster than major damage ults like Gibraltar. The range on this ability is quite huge, and it was very unnatural to get used to since I expected it more to be like Gibraltar's before it got buffed, but it was actually pretty easy to throw and it just, I don't know, it feels like a feather or something. Yet, even with the big range, the best way to use this ultimate and get most accurate results is to combine it with your Horizon kit. I usually use the ult together with the Q. First I get to the higher ground, then I can aim up and land it nicely on the enemy wherever they are or wherever they're heading to cut them off. One cool thing I noticed is that you actually don't need to combo this ult that much with any other legend, since it works pretty fine with thermal nades alone, and other grenades can do it too. But it does combo well with Gibraltar's and Caustic, since their ability also works as a slow, so the black hole makes them stick for longer. But since now everyone runs Horizon in their team, it's impossible to land since Horizon is her own biggest counter. You can just queue yourself and get out of the black hole radius with the entire team instantly, and avoid any grenades or any other ultimates. Nonetheless, I found that the combo works great with Wraith specifically, since she can get you right under the enemy to get a surprise ult from a portal. You can also throw in a Q to stop people using the portal entrance for a few seconds, or to give your team a better attack point and a better entrance point. Now, Black Hole is also good to cut vision. Not only it distracts the enemy team by them trying to avoid it, but it also cuts their vision because of the huge black hole on their screens. And in some rare cases, you will end up using the ultimate to disengage and get away or block away so you can res your teammate or heal up. Most of the time people avoid going through the black hole, so you win yourself some time. Well, unless they decide to instantly shoot it down and walk through it. Unfortunately, the ultimate has a lot of holes. Haha, get it? Black holes has holes. Haha, very funny. Number 1. It blocks your own and your team's damage. Yes, that tiny bot in the middle also works as an enemy shield, since its friendly fire doesn't break it. Quite often I've noticed that I struggle with this and the enemy avoids the damage by being on the other side of the bot. Number 2, it's super easy to destroy when people actually realize it. And number 3, it's really bugged. 30% of the times it will randomly disappear, and then another 20% of the times you will drop it on a unstable ground or next to a door or something, and it will get destroyed by it. So it's very unreliable, especially that the pull is also pretty slow, so the enemy ends up walking out of it anyway. But I guess that is fair, otherwise Horizon would be beyond OP with her amazing Q that is pretty much better than half the ults and most abilities in the game. In the end, all I can recommend is to throw your ult in combination with your team's ultimate, grenades or push. Or to throw it to block off the escape route for the enemy, or even to make an escape route for yourself. It also does pretty great job as a smoke or just vision blocker, and it's pretty loud, so you can assist your teams with res or give yourself a breather to heal or reposition. I would say that the vision block is probably the best aspect of it, since that just confuses the enemy on top of the sound and pulling them in, which usually breaks their team composition for a few seconds, giving you enough time to push them. Moving to counter picks and team composition. As usually, let's just go one by one, starting with Bloodhound. Nothing special here. As a teammate he can give good information, and I guess he can see better through the black hole with his ultimate or Q, but nothing really worth mentioning. As a counter he has nothing either. Now Gibraltar. In our team he can provide great combo together with his ultimate and Horizon ultimate. But be careful not to drop your Qs together, since he will send his dome shield flying. Gibraltar's Q is used to protect, and Horizon Q can be used to protect and help your team disengage when being shot at. So I noticed that me and my friend usually had the same thinking and using the abilities in the same time or the same position, which messed us up all the time. As an enemy though, he gets countered by us pretty hard. His ult becomes useless thanks to our Q, since we can escape or even just wait over it above the ground. And his dome shield does not protect from black hole pull either. Now Lifeline. Decent teammate as always. You can get her some time to res a teammate with your Q block or even your ultimate to stop the enemy push. Or I guess you could drop the healing drone on top of the gravity lift and heal there whilst you are all above. But that's nothing special either. As a counter it's a bit easier to get behind her resurrection shield since you can just jump over it. But there's nothing too serious either, so moving on. Pathfinder. Well, as a teammate he provides a nice push with his Q together with Horizon Q. Especially that he can use boost to get further with his own grapple too. So the enemy team might get really confused, but in reality he is not really needed since Horizon provides what Pathfinder does and even more for the team. On the other hand, as an enemy he is not completely useless. Yes, his Q is completely useless against a gravity lift, he can't get out of it or through it. Same goes to the black hole, but on the other hand, he is one of the very few legends that can actually go through the Horizon's door block with his ultimate. Since Horizon Q doesn't stop any ziplines, if you are mid zipline, the Q won't push you out of it. So technically he can drop his zipline just to go through the door. Now Wraith, decent teammate as I've mentioned before, playstyle fits perfectly and she can play around Horizon abilities pretty great thanks to her Q. Her Q goes through black hole and airflow no problem at all, and with the teleporters you can block off the entrances or even set up a nice surprising black hole. In conclusion, she's great for duo games. As a counter, pretty much the best counter to Horizon excluding Horizon herself. Since even if you throw Q to stop them from re-entering the portal, you might set up even a better exit for them with a free jump on your team. So yeah, be careful, there's still a lot of sweaty Wraith players with like 75,000 kills here. Next, Bangalore. I guess you could combo black holes and Bangalore ult, but the timing would be very difficult to nail. Her Q works as expected with your Q, it just bounces up. As a counter, we are in a better position once again. Her Qs get blocked and her ultimates also get blocked, so she can't really land on us. Also, we can avoid the ultimate damage perfectly with the Q, since the timing is very slow on the explosions. Caustic. Pretty decent teammate as I've said since of the ult combination, but that's actually not it. On this map there's a lot of different ground levels, so it's quite often when the last few cycles you will be below your enemy. Caustic cannot throw his traps high up, but Horizon can. If you set it up correctly, you can perfectly land caustic traps on top where the enemy is, to flush them out a little or to just deal damage. That is specifically useful when caustic ultimate is on cooldown. As a counter, it's same as expected. You can block out his Q and ultimate with gravity lift, and you can avoid his ultimate if it's in an open area with the gravity lift as well, and get your team out of the clouds in seconds. Huge counter to caustic. Moving on to Mirage. As you might have guessed, he benefits from gravity lift as expected. His Q and his ultimate both works with the ability. Could cause a lot of confusion just like with the Octane combo. But one thing to keep in mind, his decoys are quite predictable in the Horizon Q. For example, the real Mirage can jump out mid-flow, but his decoys will always stay all the way to the top and flow out in one direction no matter what. So eventually when people pick this up, you only will give yourself away by using Horizon ability. Or I guess you could pretend to be the decoy on purpose yourself and stay all the way to the top. As a counter there's nothing really to mention. I guess he could use his ult to avoid being shot and under a black hole to confuse, but his clones will be helpless in the black hole anyway. Next, Octane. Another perfect teammate in my opinion. The amount of ground you two can cover is quite insane. For example, in this video me and my friend needed to rotate since we didn't want to get squished, and the enemy kept sniping us, so we can't just run since we be easy targets. So we end up just using Octane ult, then double jump and then using Horizon Q. It was pretty nice and safe. We ended up getting a better position and winning that game afterwards. So in general, you two have really crazy movement potential, with Octane's quick ults and Horizon non-existent cooldown on Qs. I recommend you try this team composition in current patch. As a counter, he can get the team out of the black hole range with his ultimate quite nicely. Also, his team slightly increases his speed in the black hole, making it a bit easier to get out of the pull radius. Now moving to Wattson. Let's just say you don't want her in your team. It's as easy as that. It's actually good that in this meta no one picks her anyway, but both of your abilities get stopped by her ultimate, so it makes it difficult to work together. I guess she can place her fences around the black hole or something like that, but let's be real now, you have quicker time just shooting the bastards. As a counter, she's a big one, since like I've said, Q and R gets both countered by Wattson, so you cannot really surprise her. Now moving to Crypto-chan. Pretty good teammate since with his drone you can set up a great ultimates. First, he finds the enemy and uses the MP to slow the enemy down mostly, and then you dash a perfect black hole on top of them and push in with your team. He makes it a bit easier to be 2v3 in this situation by slowing them and breaking the shields, and thanks to your black hole and your Q you can get right in time and get there fast. As a counter there's nothing much to mention, his drone gets pulled into a black hole only when he's not operating it, otherwise he can fly around freely. Also, Horizon Q don't do anything to the drone either. And I also discovered that his EMP does not stop the black hole from operating since it doesn't count as a trap. Now moving to Revenant. As a teammate he works similar to Octane, his ult is nice for comboing with your Q and getting on top of the enemy. Also his Q is quite useful in general for everyone. Now as a counter he doesn't possess much threat unless he actually lands his Q on you, then it does disable your infinite tactical ability, which is a big counter. But landing it right on you is quite hard. His Q gets picked up by the gravity lift as well, so that makes it even harder to land. Next one is Loba. Hang on tight guys, only few legends left. Loba is great in any team comp thanks to her infinite ammo and ultimate in general. but she isn't bringing much to the table since your Q pretty much is like different version of her Q, but for the entire team. As a counter she gets wrecked too, since her tactical ability gets thrown out of the way with your gravity. And last but not least is Rampart. Great as a teammate, you can get high ground position, she can put walls all over it to get some nice choke points. Also if you land a good ult, she can abuse her wall damage or even shield it to wreck the enemy team. As a counter you both don't really affect each other in any particular way, she don't get pulled in if she behind the cover or on the machine gun, nor she gets picked up with your Q either. I guess you could jump over the walls with your Q, but you will be open for a second or two, which is enough to kill you under the damage amplified walls. And now last one is Horizon herself. Huge counter, pretty much a complete counter. Your Qs counter each other ultimates. If you drop your Q instantly, your team can get out of the radius super fast. Same goes for the enemy Horizon. Alright, here we are guys. Now let's move on to the last part of the video. Pros and cons. First, I'll start off with pros, as always. Decent passive, keeps the momentum and just feels nice. The best tactical ability in the entire game by far, even better than half of the ultimates in the game. Tactical cooldown is non-existent. The high it can do is ridiculous and I won't be surprised if it gets nerfed. Alright ultimate can provide some support. Works great as an initiator. She's right in the middle. Not only attack legend, neither she's only defense camping legend. She can provide support and aggression. So very diversive pick. Her hitbox is average, so you're not gonna be like a Gibraltar easy to hit or anything. Has the best door or entrance block in the entire game. Pretty sure no one can block the doors the way she can. So her Q actually has like mini Wattson ultimate as a passive that can block grenades and any kind of throwables. Her tactical makes immovable slow legends into pretty decent aggressive teammates. I'm pretty sure there's more, but I'm gonna stop here since I'm a little bit afraid they might nerf cooldowns or high or something like that, and those nodes might become useless. So let's move on to cons. Ultimate is easily to play around and easy to destroy. Ultimate is quite buggy and can disappear half the time. Q is pretty slow unless you have the air control passive, so you can actually ruin stuff for your teammates. Everything gets stopped with your Q to the point where your team can't throw or get out of the area, which could also be annoying. Passive is quite insignificant in most situations, but I guess it's perfect for her kit, so I can't really complain. I also think that when people get used to shooting vertically or in higher ranks in general, it will be quite dangerous using her Q and being in it for too long, since you are a very open target. After people get used to her ultimate, it will get destroyed instantly before you can even do something. Alright, that's all I can think of as of right now. In conclusion, it's very solid hero. She might be considered OP as of now, especially her Q. And maybe it does deserve a nerf, but I personally think when people get used to her, she won't be that much of a trouble. She's quite easy to get used to and her skills are relatively simple. But her ultimate is definitely hard to land nicely. Half the time people will reposition before he even gets to pull anything. So it does require some practice and some prediction. Overall, I really like the legend and enjoy playing her. Personally, I'm happy to make this video since I enjoyed this season as of now. Well, not going to talk about the insane number of third partying on this map. It might be that adding all these portals and cars will actually make it a bit harder to play, but I guess time will show. Unlike Rampart and Loba, Horizon actually has some skill cap and it's just funner to play for me. I've been slacking off on making Apex content recently since I didn't really enjoy playing any of the new champions, but this season is quite fun. Anyway guys, I actually do promise to make videos for Revenant, Rampart and Loba as well because I need to cover all champions, but I might get carried away a little bit with Cyberpunk 2077 when it actually comes out. I appreciate if you'd watch these videos too, at least if you are waiting for the game as much as I do. Thank you for watching this yet again long ass video, hope you enjoyed it. I've been working really hard on it. Please go on and slap the like button. Also, if you got any more tips, since I've definitely missed out a lot of stuff as of now. I've tried to give it a few days before making the video because I wanted to just actually play the character and, know more stuff. But that's still not enough time. Please do comment any tips down below. I'll make sure to thumbs up and like it for others to see. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Or on the ring. Bye bye.